That joke isn't funny anymore. Available on Amazon and everywhere. Hey guys, welcome back to the Lou Perez podcast on the Lions of Liberty Network. I'm your host, Lou Perez, and today I am joined by my guest. He's a filmmaker and co-host of The System Is Down. Please put your hands together, Mr. Dan Smotz. There we go. Dan giving himself a round of applause.
Good to be here.
Yeah, thank you for having me, Dan. So, when I was booking Dan, who was very kind to come on the show, he asked the normal question that any guest would ask: is, "What do you want to talk about?" And I was like, "Oh God, I don't know what I want to talk about."
I'm into a little bit of everything, so it can go wherever you want it to go, man.
Yeah. Well, the thing that attracted me, for one, I've known Dan for a number of years, like through the work that he does as a filmmaker, and he makes really great videos, and they're beautifully shot. And it's nice to see that, especially in our in the Liberty world, to see someone who's doing film and then doing it so well. And I think one of the things
somebody who's lending so much of their talents to such a thankless group of deplorable pieces of shit like the libertarians.
Yeah. Well, I mean, one thing that I would say is what's so funny is that when you think about all of the just kind of all the terrible stereotypes of that libertarians get, like, oh, you're selfish and you're all about money. It's like, wow, if you were going to pick one political party where there is never a lot of money being thrown around.
If we're all about money, we're doing it very wrong because there's none.
Yeah. So what's wrong with us, man? Why don't we jump ship and just start doing stuff? I think I could make. Sometimes I look at like the political landscape and I'm like, I could work either side, man. I could make some really good stuff for the Democrats. I could make some really good stuff for the Republicans.
I'll make Bernie Sanders propaganda, but the number will be a lot higher. But if he wants to go there, that's fine.
Yeah.
I don't. What was the question? Why do we suck so much? Or
no, why don't we jump? Why don't we jump ship? So here's a question: like, what came first for you, the filmmaking or the Liberty?
The filmmaking. I actually taught myself in high school because I did bands and had band friends and played shows and shit, and had crappy little cameras and figured out how to use like Sony Vegas, Adobe Premiere, After Effects, and all that shit. And it was just out of necessity for my own band, so I didn't have to pay somebody else to do it. And then got into doing like wedding films at some point, and then eventually started dabbling in this crazy world of libertarian politics and saw a need. I mean, I didn't set out to do political ads of any kind. When I started working with the libertarians, it was actually with Vermin Supreme, and it wasn't because I thought he was like the most principled libertarian or anything. It was because I was pretty new and thought that libertarians all agreed on a lot of things, on most libertarian things. That's not true, as we all know.
Right.
But it was fun, and I saw it as a good time to make a splash in doing something just crazy and off the wall with Vermin Supreme's campaign, and then that rolled into Spike Cohen and Joe Jorgensen and Angela McArdle and the Mises Caucus and Dave Smith and Jeremy Kaufman and everybody else since then. And for me, I'm just looking for whoever's having the most fun, because I think that's the best way to push any kind of message, is to show the value of the joy that you're experiencing while sharing it in the fun that you're having. And I think a lot of us get hung up on doing it the right way or figuring out the right way, or there isn't a right way to sell the message of liberty, because so many people are trying to do it and failing. And then it seems to be the ones like the Ron Pauls of the world who are, clearly enjoying life and not getting caught up in the political minutia as much. Those are the ones who are actually making a difference. So,
yeah. Well, when you started with bands, what kind of music was your band, and what was your band called? And
The Dawn Retreat, and it is still technically a thing. We put out an album a couple years ago, and then we haven't done anything since then. But we're all old dudes with kids and shit now, so it happens when it happens, and it's fun. But it's like your rock metal, emo, screamo subgenre, whatever. I don't know. Sing, scream, heavy, melodic, whatever. It's not metal.
Do you sing? Do you play an instrument? What's your,
I do singing. I do
wow.
the singing and the screaming all. Yes, I never learned how to play an actual instrument other than drums, but that doesn't count.
Well, shit, as a screamer, like, how do you protect your voice?
Well, it helps that we only play a show once every 10 years, so it doesn't, wear on me too much anymore, but, I did have like, in the early days, there were some bands that were, just cupping the mic and going, "Grrr," and then I was, like, belting it, and I had a guy, in another band that we were friends with once ask me, how I do. I don't know. I don't really know how to explain it. But no, I'd never really trashed my voice. I would lose my voice for a day or 2 to actually answer your question, but I did have this one guy, in another band, they just sang, and he was like, "How do you scream?" And he was like, "I tried doing it. Did your throat bleed the first couple times?" Like, "No, it did not, and you should stop trying because you're doing it very, very wrong."
Yeah. When I was, I think what was I, like, middle school or high school, there was a band I listened to, they're called Snapcase. I don't know if you know Snapcase.
I know the name.
Yeah, and their singer was all like I can't even I don't wanna, like, blow the speaker, but it's like, do you know yourself? Do you know" like, it was but so like, with a higher pitch,
Uh-huh.
and I was like, "How the fuck can he possibly do that?" Like, they're, a touring,
Mhm.
hardcore, punk band, um, and then, I know that there are definitely, like, exercises and stuff that you could do, you could do on your voice,
There are exercises, and I think there is. I don't know the science behind it, but I think there are some people who can do it and some people who can't do it, much like singing too. Some people, no matter
yeah,
how hard they try to sing, no matter how many lessons they take, they're not able to figure it out. But yeah, it's less about forcing it out and making it really loud than it is just the right amount of grit in your throat to be able to project it without, trashing your voice. And we've seen like, you know, vocalist after vocalist be like Avenged Sevenfold, Coheed and Cambria, people who did these like extreme vocal stuff. Eventually, as they get older, they tone it down, and then now they're just like singers because they shot their voice to shit. But
yeah, they have to play, like, every one of their hit songs in a lower
yep.
key, well, that's what, like, someone like Phil Labonte,
Mhm.
from, was it All That Remains, Phil was on, God, like, one of the first podcast episodes that I ever did, and
Mhm.
he blows me away because he can do anything. He could
Sure.
sing melodically, he could growl, he could do the screams and all that, and what also blows me away, when you talk to him, he just sounds like a normal guy, you
Yeah.
know, but yet in this head space, in this
Uh-huh.
torso, is this, voice that could do just anything. And it's
Sure.
just I'm always, and I think that that's where you
And there are people
most
like
of the people
Phil who are
go.
much more qualified to answer these questions than I am since, again, I've played like one show in the last 10 years with that band. So, yeah.
Well, yeah, well, hey, Phil, if you're listening, man, return my texts, return my emails, my calls. Yeah, I'd love to have him back on with all the stuff that's going on. But yeah, I totally see, you starting like with the band route and then that getting you into filmmaking because, with bands, it is very much of, a do it yourself kind of project.
Mhm.
Like you have to do everything. You have to promote yourself. You have to find ways of getting yourself out there.
Yeah.
And I can imagine shit when you started out, even the prospect of paying somebody to edit something, it's like, what? Like that sounds insane.
Yeah. Yeah, paying somebody to do it was insane, and finding somebody who could do it was insane. Even finding somebody who could, like, within, like, a 500-mile radius who could record worth a damn at the time was pretty challenging, and now, like, everybody's got a studio in their pocket, basically, if they really wanna figure out how to utilize that, but, um, yeah, it was, all very DIY, and I think that's one big thing that is not to bring it back to libertarianism. I know you're a Lions of Liberty guy now. Fuck those guys. They're pieces of shit. But um, I did all their design work, and hey, we're cool and shit. Um, yeah, I think that's something that's missing from the libertarian sphere as well. Is like that punk mentality of the DIY stuff. There are certainly those who have it, but then they end up being very autistically niche, or like they have their little street corner where they're yelling about liberty or something. We don't have enough people making good, authentic art and speaking passionately in art. We have a lot of I often compare the libertarian sphere to I grew up in heavily like, my dad was a pastor in the conservative, like, Christian world and everything, and I saw all the Christian art stuff that was very much parking the art or the message cart before the art horse. They were just like, "We have to say something, and instead of being a youth pastor, I'm gonna be a musician, even though I don't know how to play anything." And then you just end up with crappy music for Jesus that sounds like trash. That's kind of what a lot of libertarians do for liberty. They're just like, "Well, I need to do a message, but I don't wanna start a podcast or whatever. I have this idea for starting a band for liberty." And it's like, "Okay."
Yeah.
Well, do that if you got a passion for it, but don't expect to be, like, all that remains overnight just because you said libertarianism a couple times in your music.
Yeah. Well, I'm gonna just give me 1 sec. I'm gonna give you show you something.
Sure.
So thank you all for staying with me, Dan and company as I went to pick up
Welcome
something.
back.
So I yeah,
Live
thank you.
audience.
Uh, so I had like I guess like an experience. It was a little thing, but I think it was kind of telling in that I went to an event for I think it was a libertarian event, and I had stickers that I was selling, and a guy looked at this sticker, right? And this sticker says, "No taxation with or without representation," right?
Mhm.
Clever, like me trying to be clever. Okay,
Sure.
it works as a sticker. And
Yep.
then the guy pointed at this and said, "It should just say taxation is theft." And it's like,
Get
yeah,
your
man,
own sticker, bro.
it's a well, it's like not even like get your own sticker, but it's like, yeah, man, I guess I could make that sticker and
I guess I can make the same sticker as what everybody else at this table has stickers that say the
yeah.
same exact messaging on. Sure.
Exactly, so that there's sometimes I find like, people are kind of incapable of looking past whatever their kink is,
Sure.
to a certain degree. Um,
Absolutely.
with, so you were saying that, you were filming, like, weddings and stuff. What was that like? Like,
Oh, I still do weddings,
oh,
on a
nice.
regular basis. That's actually about half of my main source of income, and, yeah, weddings I avoided for a long time. I knew it was a cash cow if you get into it because, the wedding industry, people pay out the nose for wedding vendors, and, yeah, I avoided it like the plague because it seemed super high stress, and I thought like, I'd never got or saw wedding videos or anything modern day. I assumed like wedding videos are where you put the camera in the back of the room and you film the thing and then that's your wedding video. Boring old boomer shit. But I started looking into it and realized that modern wedding videos are more like you film the day and that's then you take all that footage and you make a music video out of it telling the story of their day. And like there's a storytelling aspect, there's a music video aspect because it's all just background music with I mean, I intersperse, some of the talking, some of the audio and conversations and stuff, but it's not just like real time, your 45-minute ceremony or whatever. It's like a 10 to 15-minute music video basically of the day. And, yeah, once I got into that and started doing that, I really enjoy it. It's, similar to the political stuff where it gets a little mundane, it's a little repetitive doing the same thing over and over again, but, with the weddings, like, each one is uniquely individual, like, this is a couple, their day, their newly starting family, and I don't take that lightly, like, I hope this blesses your family for your grandkids, your great-grandkids for years to come can look back and watch this thing, and, yeah, I think a lot of people overlook the value in that, in the person that you were when you got together, when you got married and that type of thing, and yeah, I don't know, it's not my favorite, avenue of, creativity that I lend my services to, but I do enjoy it.
Yeah. Well, when we got married, we just had a friend of mine, was just kinda shooting stuff. We've yet to edit it. Well, I guess it would be on me to edit it or to farm it out. So right
I know a
now,
guy.
you know, talking to you, I'm like, "Oh, wow," I have that footage. Like, yeah, it would be really cool to be able to see that. I have a friend of mine, some years back, his parents celebrated their 50th wedding anniversary,
Mhm.
and they had a big gathering, and, they renewed their vows, and it was a really it was a really special event, and fortunately for them, they had like footage, old like Super 8 footage of from their wedding day.
Yeah.
So they had it playing on a loop on a projector screen, for the entirety of the event, and it's like,
That's
you're
cool.
looking at and it looked great. I mean, 'cause there's just something about, like, the graininess of
Mhm.
that of, the film and all that, and it was silent and stuff, and, like, being able to see it was very moving being able to see, the parent his his my buddy, it's his parents who, got married. There they are young. Here they are older together. Here are the other family members that are still around. Here are the ones that are, they lost long ago. It's a very moving thing, and it could be I I I have a tendency, I think, to get a little sappy and sentimental, but,
I do too.
uh, I think it's important
Comes
to
with the artist, yeah.
yeah, yeah. I think it's important to have that to have like a real uh human experience there. And I think when you're approaching art, that way that you want to have that you want to elicit that in others, it's
Yeah,
really important.
and I mean, that's really why the propaganda works too, 'cause I mean, that same mentality I bring to, like I worked on the Free Roger Ver campaign, did, like, 9 videos for him. I'm working on the Ian Freeman one now, and, like, every single one of these, especially if it's, like, with Ian Freeman, it's a lot of the New Hampshire guys. I know a lot of them 'cause of PorcFest. They brought me out many years and stuff. Like, I know half the people in these videos on these news stories talking about this thing. Like, to me, I want for all of these people that I know and love, like, I want their friend to be out of jail. I don't know Ian Freeman from Adam, didn't know him at all before looking into it, but, yeah, after looking into, uh, his case and Roger Vere's case and stuff, thank you, Angela, for connecting me with these people. Uh, yeah, after looking into them, it's just like I put the same level of, like, emotion into it, and in every video, it's just like, how can this I will rework a video 100 times until I'm like, "Okay, there's the key, now the shit slaps, now I can send it out." I will rework it and rework it and rework it, and I'm like, "Nope, that's not it, that's not it, that's not it," but, yeah, so with me, it's not just making a video or taking a paycheck, it's freeing a guy or changing somebody's life or moving somebody to action or moving somebody, even if the action is just voting a little bit better or what have you. Like, I care about people's what their emotional response is to the thing. And I know it takes until I find that final linchpin that's missing from the thing to where I go, oh, that makes the hair stand up on my arm. Now I can put it out. I it's art. It's art to me more than it is politics, and which is why I avoid the politics for the most part and just stay in my lane.
Well,
Leave the
well,
nerd shit to the nerds.
yeah, well, if the are those videos done? The ones for Ian Freeman and Roger Ver, are they done?
There's like 9 videos out of Roger
What?
Ver. If you look up Roger Ver on Twitter, all the probably you're gonna run into at least 5 of the ones that I made, and, Ian Freeman's first one I'm doing a bunch for Ian too, and the first one is, in the, final stages, so it should be out soon too.
Cool, and this is funny because I guess it's not funny, but it's like me knowing a lot of people in this world, and I don't know anything about Ian or Roger. Could you like talk about their cases? What's going on?
Um, there are much more qualified people to speak on them, but I can give the abridged versions. The Roger Ver one is basically, he was known as Bitcoin Jesus because he was one of the first pioneers in the Bitcoin world. He established a lot of the initial he invested in all the initial, and I might not even be over exaggerating when I say all, but in the early stages, investing in all the startups and everything that got Bitcoin off the ground, and he was donating people in Bitcoin, trying to get this thing moving. And he was harassed for decades by the powers that be, and kept having he had some bullshit charges against him for selling explosives on eBay, which were little firecrackers that he bought off the internet and resold on the internet. And they're like, well, you don't have a license, so you're a terrorist. And just harassment for years. And then it came down to, got to the point where he decided to expatriate or whatever, he renounce his citizenship and move to Spain and left the country. He's like, well, if I step away from the, he was like, I love America and all, but y'all aren't allowing me to exist here, so I'm gonna have to go, and I'm gonna have to sever ties, which is not unreasonable in my opinion. in doing that, they hit him 10 years later, right before the end of the statute of limitations. They hit him 10 years later with like these ridiculous charges of tax evasion because he did like the exit tax. You know what an exit tax is, right? Where
I've heard of it. I don't know how much it
where
is
you're
though.
leaving the country and you gotta give when you're renouncing your citizenship, you have to give 50% of all of your everything, including your assets and not just
50%?
financial. I'm
Holy
pretty sure
shit.
it's 50%, and, he did to the best of his ability, but because of the world of Bitcoin and crypto in general being so ever shifting, they came back and they're like, "No, you actually owed us way more than that," and then he had, like, he got hit with 2 charges of, I think like mail fraud or something because he mailed his tax returns trying to pay the US government, even though he's not even a citizen anymore, still trying to pay them. And they're like, nope, this isn't the right way to do it. So it's like 40 years for mail fraud and 50 years for this or that. I don't remember the exact details, but basically he's facing 109 years in prison for this exit tax and some other petty bullshit. Clearly just them trying to fuck up his life. And now he's basically like he's on an island currently and he's not allowed to leave it and he has to check in with the court every 2 days to make sure he's not going anywhere, and at any point, and we've been saying this for the last 6 months and not sure why it's going this long, but at any point they're going to come take him and um send him back to the United States where he will, you know, face his sentence and all that. There is some, news that just came out yesterday that Trump was signing something to do with crypto and Biden's overreaching on crypto or something. So it's looking promising that there might be some things in the works that will be beneficial to him. But yeah, his is basically just bullshit on, exit tax stuff and the government not understanding what Bitcoin was at the time that he left, and now they're mad that they didn't, you know, come after him, so they're coming after him. Ian Freeman's was, it's a little bit more new to me because I just started this campaign, but, he bought or invested in it was basically his design was this, it's like a Bitcoin vending machine, so you put in cash, you get Bitcoin, and you can send Bitcoin or have it inserted into your wallet or what have you, and, that was a no-no because something to do with, um some people were using this service for fraudulent activities, which happens every time, similar to Ross and stuff. Um, some people were using it for scamming, like, the elderly in these, like, love scams and shit where they convince them that they're so and so and they're in love with them and you need to send me, like, 200 Bitcoin or whatever, and people were, like, draining their savings accounts for these scams, and the government's trying to say that that Ian Freeman took part in those because he got a percentage of the amount that they were scammed because he was the middleman for that transaction who didn't do his due diligence on it. Basically, he allowed the privacy of crypto to exist and implemented that. And of course, as we all know, that always is a really easy way for the government to be like, well, then you are the fraudulent scammer because you were benefiting from it. And yeah, there was something else where basically he runs a radio show and they call it a church so that they can have tax exemption. They say it's a church, which I mean, they are preaching a message of peace and prosperity and unity, like of love and all that. It's like I'm not sure where the line is for church exactly.
Right.
If you have a message and you're preaching a message and you have an establishment, I mean, if the Church of Satan or you know, the Jewish synagogue or what have you gets tax exemption, those aren't religions that I agree with, but they should have it if anybody can have it. And I think that Free Talk Live, the church, should also get that tax exemption as well. But of course, they're saying that that is, you know, tax fraud and all that stuff too. So lots of bullshit stuff that, you know, it's always the crypto guys because the crypto guys are the ones blazing an entirely new trail and have been for the last few decades. And now suddenly the government is realizing how much power it could have. And I'm not a big crypto guy myself, so
Mm.
I don't know. I'm not even one to really speak on that, but the government is realizing how, if not, if it's either that they're scared of the power of crypto or they just see it as an easy target because it is so squishy in such a gray area in legality that they can go after these, you know, Bitcoin billionaires and rake them over the coals and throw them in prison.
Yeah, and I think it's also, the fact that so few people can even explain to you what crypto is and how it works,
Yeah.
where it kinda goes under the radar, as far as, like, prosecutions go because, nobody's
Oh, yeah.
particularly interested in it. Like,
And
I remember.
I mean, that's like 90% of the challenge in working on these campaigns is, like, how do you not only propagandize people into feeling empathy for these, like, tech nerds, no offense to any of them, but, like, they're tech nerds, that's what Bitcoin guys are, and, but also to try and explain what Bitcoin is, explain how they utilized it, explain how the government's perceiving that, and explain why that's bullshit is quite a challenge.
Yeah, I remember, when talking with Jeremy Kauffman about it, and I was telling him, like, "Dude, like, I have so little knowledge on, like, crypto and all that," and he said, "Well, in a way, it's kind of like that's kinda what you want, like, you want people to be able to use these crypto services without needing to know,
Right.
how they work and all that." And this is, I think, in particular with, Jeremy's work with, was it Library and
Yeah.
Odyssey?
Yep.
And after we talked, I remember, he was posting about, just the millions and millions of dollars he spent out of his own pocket to fight back against the charges that were against him, and I was so blown away because I didn't know he was that loaded, for
Right.
one, but
He's a Jew,
also
he hides it well.
but also, like, I know Jeremy, I know his wife, I know he has a family and kids, and my god, I can't even imagine the pressure and the anxiety of that,
Mhm.
of having to, not only shell out all that money, but also, day to day not knowing what the hell is going to happen when you're, up against, the state of all, you know, out of anything you could be fighting, the idea that you're fighting the state must just be, a completely different level of stress. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, as, I think it was Ian Freeman said, I think it's at the beginning of the video I just made, um, so I don't wanna misquote it too bad, but he says, something like, "Whenever the government prosecutes you, you're gonna lose."
Right.
They don't go into it just willy-nilly. They have all the power to pull the levers however they wanna pull them. So as soon as you're on their radar, you are at their disposal, basically. And
Yeah.
that's what we're seeing with, like, for all the with the Roger Ver thing, like, we've gotten videos directly to Trump during all the hype of Ross being freed and all that stuff going on with his being sworn in. And even still, it's like just getting any eyeballs on things is such an uphill battle when, even if it's the former administration that did the dirty deed of, putting these guys down, um, getting Trump to pay attention and be like, "Hey, Trump, you remember how you said that what that guy was doing was bad? Well, here are a few really easy and obvious cases where you could undo that and, save multiple people's lives that not only for their benefit, but for the benefit of the country, this whole make America great again thing, the pioneers in a new revolutionizing Bitcoin space. Those are the people that you should be getting on your side instead of just, throwing away because Biden said so."
Yeah. Yeah. This Freedom Fest is in June, uh, and which I guess next month. And Ross Ulbricht will be
Mhm.
a special speaker. I don't know if he's going to be, giving a talk or interview and all that. But yeah, years and years ago, I met, uh, through my work, like through like the Free State Project and stuff. And by my work, I mean like me going up there and speaking at like Liberty Forum and doing stand up and
Mhm.
stuff. I got to meet Ross's mom, Lynn, who's
Mhm.
just a really strong.
She's
Damn,
great.
yeah, great lady, strong, kept the faith, kept the fight going for so long. And I played a benefit show up there for Ross, so he needs to personally thank me, for the work that I did, getting him free by me doing my 15 minutes of stand-up. But it was an interesting, event because, I think it was Pete Quinones who kicked it off with a very moving, beautiful speech that left everybody in tears, and then I came up and
Now
had to
for
do
some funny jokes.
yeah, had to here you go. and,
Thank you, Pete. Thanks for getting warmed up for me.
yeah, exactly, but you know, it's, stuff like that makes I don't know, it makes it all interesting. I think there's just so many interesting, characters and if people don't like the term characters, they're interesting figures in the liberty movement, kinda on a local level, and then, possibly soon to be like, national level.
Mhm.
Um, and with, I guess it seems like one bit of advice I would just sort of give is, for, liberty-minded people, it's just like keep it local because it seems like anytime you, do stuff with the mail, you're running the risk of the feds coming
Right.
and charging you with something, So, I don't know, I would imagine like having to deal with, the local court system in Manchester, New Hampshire might be a safer bet.
Yeah.
But, then again, I'm not one
I
of
mean,
the
the Crypto 6
pioneers.
was pretty local with the Ian Freeman thing. Like, that
Yeah.
was I mean, it was a local vending machine that is the primary thing that they got taken down for, so even keeping it local I mean, there were obviously transactions outside of the area and could be, I imagine, traced back in some way, but, yeah, like, with the Ian Freeman thing, like, the banks were also part of these transactions. The banks could have seen how much was going out, how much was coming in, and flagged it. The FBI, I would imagine, has access to check on that type of stuff, but it's Ian Freeman's fault for being the guy who just had an open door for a place where people could freely exchange.
Yeah, and without knowing, like, all the details too, I mean, the amount of fraud that just takes place every single day with, the regular banking system,
Yeah.
like, the amount of times that I've had to, destroy my credit card and get a new one or my new debit card because somebody had used it or spent,
Mhm.
uh it is, pretty, pretty ridiculous. So you said your dad was a pastor? Is he still around, your dad? Is he still, uh
He is still around. He is no longer a pastor, hasn't been in probably 20 years at least, so
yeah.
maybe more.
And what kinda church were you brought up in?
Oh, evangelical, Pentecostal, some I don't know exactly what you wanna call it, but, American Christian whites, baby.
Yeah.
Midwest. That
And
brand.
and what'd you think of your dad as a pastor? Was he good? Was he a good performer? I think, like, that's a big part of it, right? Like, being able to actually perform.
Um, I mean, it was a small church that was mostly family. I don't know. Like, my dad did his best and was handed his dad was a pastor before him, and he was handed, like, this church where he did basically, he worked a full-time job at a machine shop at least 40 plus hours a week and then did, like, Sunday morning service, Sunday night service, Monday night, like, kids club, Tuesday night youth group, and Wednesday night Bible study and shit, and it's like, "Okay, like, you should have been making, like, twice what you're making at your actual job in doing this, but, I don't know. It's just what you did, and that's what he did, and, more power to him.
Yeah.
But, yeah, more power to him for stepping away from it too when it just didn't make sense, but
Yeah, I
yeah.
imagine, working full time in, like, a machine shop, he must have been a very loud preacher. Just
No,
like
no, my
it's
dad is a very quiet man, actually.
'cause my dad's a butcher, and I have, 3 of my brothers are butchers, and they're so fucking loud because they're fucking deaf,
Yeah.
because, it's like,
Well,
god,
it helps that he
10 hours
mostly
a day
works
of
alone with
bandsaws.
earplugs in
Oh,
and
okay.
doesn't talk to anybody, so
Yeah, man,
yeah.
I wish I wish so badly that, that my dad had, been a part of a generation where they actually use, like, you know, ear uh, earplugs and
Yeah.
whatnot, just for his own health. I mean, it's just, uh, it's a real thing, hearing loss, especially when a bandsaw is just going like
Mhm.
10 hours a day
Yep.
or whatnot. Um, with, I wanna talk to you, about, uh, like, we're continue, like, the art discussion and stuff. Is there is there anything go on right now that you're really into? Because like, my wife and I, we just, I'm of that age and of that relationship where my wife and I, we watch there are shows that we watch together. We have to
Mhm.
watch it together. I
Same.
can't we can't jump ahead. Um, we started watching The Last of Us. Are you familiar? Do you watch? Have you seen it?
I I have the first game and I started
Oh,
it,
the
and then
game.
I heard about the show. I have not watched the show, but I did click a laugh emoji on some meme of the potato face girl, and now that is the my entire feed on Facebook is just potato face, potato face, potato face, and I'm here for it. I'm fine with it, but I'm not super familiar, no.
Yeah. Well, it's probably like, there's really no spoilers, guys. But it's, we started it. I think we're about like 5 episodes in, um, and the first 3 episodes I thought were really great. And in it, there's like a relationship. There's a guy who's a prepper, or as he describes himself, a survivalist. And I thought the characters it's probably the best episode. Character's really well done. The whole story that he has is really great. And it's a guy, it's the actor Nick Offerman, who I guess played was on Parks and Rec and
Ron
what
Swanson?
yeah. And so I'm like, it was funny like watching that guy, and I'm like, oh yeah, I know that guy. Like I know that guy pretty well. Like
Mhm.
there's a the survivalist community, the crossover with the libertarian community is basically
Sure.
sometimes it seems like it's just a circle of a Venn
Sure.
diagram.
I mean, he's not a libertarian in real life, he's an ultra flaming liberal, but he is a good craftsman and woodsman, whatever you wanna call it.
Well, that's what I was wondering. It seems like he's like the go-to guy anytime there's a character that is even a little bit libertarian.
Yeah.
That I was wondering if there was any of that real. Uh, if there was any of that in real life for him, but you seem to have answered that question.
Yeah, well, I've listened to a few of his books, at least one of them, his audiobook, and, funny guy, I like him, he's not a libertarian at all, and I don't say that as, "Oh, he's not a real libertarian," I mean, "Oh, he's a Hollywood liberal who plays libertarian on TV," quite literally, but, I don't know, I mean, he's got the look of a rough, gruff dude, which, I mean, I've been to a lot of libertarian conventions, and there aren't that many people who are the woodsman, craftsman, fend for yourself type at least in the political sphere of libertarianism, but, yeah, he does seem to have a niche market for some reason.
Yeah, and something with the show, and I never played the video game, so we're you and I are probably both coming at this piece of artwork from different angles. I mean, we can't really talk about how, did they do a good job of representing this and all that, but any of like, the end of the world scenarios, it really just it just reminds me how not prepared I am for any
Yep,
of it. Like
yep,
there's yeah, I'm a gun owner, okay?
mhm.
But there comes a point where I don't think that's really
I can
gonna
shoot
help
my
me.
way out for the first day or 2, but, you
Yeah,
know?
there's gonna be a guy, positioned on a roof with a rifle who, is gonna want if he wants my stuff, he's gonna take me out very
Do you know
easily.
do you know who Gary Collins is or was?
No, no.
Gary Collins was a very minimalist guy, he had a podcast called The Simple Life, I actually did, production for his show. Um, yeah, he basically left society and built a cabin in the middle of a desert or something in Arizona and, lived as off grid as he could and, did a podcast about it. And survivalist guy because he could take care of himself, built all this shit, did everything on his own. But I had some conversations with him where he was like, if the world ends, he's like, I tell everybody this, and you take it however you want. But if the world ends, I don't need to be a prepper. I don't need like months and months of food. All I need is one bullet
No.
because I don't want to be here. He's like,
Uh,
I feel like a lot of people, if it actually they got their dream apocalyptic scenario for a lot of libertarians, if shit hit the fan, they'd be like, well, shit, I guess I talked to big game and now I have to live with this. Like libertarians, especially the collapsitarian types, are very big on this idea of and to some extent I am too. I like the chaos. I like
yeah,
the history making of the collapse of Rome that we are currently experiencing to some degree. I don't necessarily think it's happening as soon as everybody else seems to, and I could be completely wrong, but the people who are praising it and looking forward to the time when everyone's life is much harder and people are dying in the street. It kind of reminds me of like I used to listen to Penn Jillette back when he pretended to be a libertarian And I didn't stop because he wasn't a libertarian. I just haven't listened to him in a long time. But um, there's one point he said something very simple that has stuck with me about libertarianism. He's like, I am a libertarian until libertarianism is implemented and people are dying in the streets. And then I'm not a libertarian anymore. Like, I think more people need to be more realistic about what it looks like to get your libertarian utopia. And if it means the collapse of society and people are dying in the streets so that you can have the freedom to uh, trade your celery for your neighbor's pickles, like you can do that now.
Yeah, yeah.
um, and yeah, once people are dying in the streets, we're going to be begging for anybody to come along and take care of it. So I don't know. I love libertarianism, and especially on paper, it's a beautiful philosophy. And if it is, whenever it is implemented and does not work, we can't be the people who are, the communists who are like, well, real communism's never been tried, so communism good. Like, try it in your Liechtenstein or what have you, and see what works and doesn't work. But praying for the downfall of civilization and the literal death of probably 75% of the people is not going to be the joyride that you think it is just because you have a lot of beans, rice, and ammo in your basement.
Yeah, like uh, I, uh, I like going back to New York City now. Like, I live outside of the city. I grew up in New York. I left New York hating it. I was, like, during, like, the COVID thing, but
Mhm.
I miss it, and I miss, like, the really great parts of it, and, uh, I know that you know, I'm a I'm a weirdo, libertarian,
Mhm.
but I'm happy that New York is there. I'm happy that it's
Sure.
still there. The prospect, well, even just the prospect of like, if you are like what's it, collapsicon? What was it?
Collapsitarian.
Collapsitarian, which that's such a great way to put it. You know, the bodies, man. It's like, yeah, you might have that, that rice and that just add water to, all these provisions, but God, the stink of like,
Well, the free market, Lou, will clean up the roads because somebody's gonna make a killing off of the killing that is society now.
right, right, right. Um, yeah, it's just I definitely uh, yes, I would like to see a world that is more in line with my my philosophy.
Mhm.
But as few as few dead as it'll take, that's the route that I want to go on. And something
Yep.
that I'm always reminded of too, I'm sure you are as well, is you know, I'm I'm just I'm where I am, and we're really happy with our town and our community and all that. There's all different people around me, so like I have a lot of guys who I get along with who are probably more on like the conservative side, right? But it's
Mhm.
like I'm the one, I'm the libertarian surrounded by conservatives over here, surrounded by crunchy granola,
Yeah.
progressives over here and liberals over here. It's like I need to find a way to work with everybody, just because not only because just out of the reality of like, you know, I can't force anybody to do what I want,
Right.
So
Yeah, and if shit does go down, nobody's gonna be arguing about politics or even the best way to rebuild. We're going to be arguing over, "Will you please give me bread for this whatever, this fish," or something. I also I've seen a lot of these types of things lately, like, I saw a video the other day that was, like, from some big libertarian account, and it was this just a meme video of a dude, like, shaving off, gold off of his gold brick or something, and the caption was like, "When the world or when society collapses, this is gonna be me, like, rolling big with my gold and, rolling up to the local farmer's market and shaving off some gold," and I'm like, what value do you really think gold has in a collapsed society? Like, nobody wants your fucking rock, dude, if we're all starving to death. We can't eat gold. Nobody's gonna give a shit that you can shave off your gold that you invested all because you were so afraid of fiat currency because it's not backed by gold. It's like, well, gold at the end of the day is just fucking minerals, and nobody's gonna give a shit. Unless you can make it into something that's useful, it'll be melted down to make, I don't know, whatever, spoons.
you
Like,
know what? I would like to actually pitch a debate idea to Gene Epstein of the Soho Forum. I think there'd be a really cool debate. Basically, collapsitarians, sort of like the end of the world is gonna be great,
Right.
like, and have yeah, I think that would be a fun debate to have, the
Mhm.
guys who think that they're ready for it, and the guys who are like, "Hey, man,
Right.
I don't wanna go that way."
Yeah.
I was doing a bit about, how like, the closest I've gotten to, like, a prepper is, like, my wife makes sourdough, like, sourdough from scratch, like, that's the closest that I've gotten.
It's gonna be
But
worth more than gold, so it's
yeah,
a skill to
well
have.
basically, I mean, yeah, the roving bands of, fucking cannibals they're gonna kill me, eat me, and then between friggin', slices of the sourdough that my wife has and they're gonna use her as they to their, heart's content.
Sure.
Um, and yeah, I think it also show like, I don't know about the video game of The Last of Us, but something that I noticed, a few episodes into, the HBO series, I'm like, "Wow, there certainly are a lot of women in places of power." During this, which just makes, like, no sense
Yep.
whatsoever. Like, wait a minute,
It's
there's the
survival of the fittest now, so obviously the matriarchy will prevail.
yeah,
That's the
yeah, it's
only
like,
thing that's been standing in their way was society.
here are all these matriarchs, the fireflies who are the, kind of the quote unquote, freedom fighters, terrorists. Women are heading them. There's this, oh, what was it? Not St. Louis or Kansas City, has been, taken over by, like, this Firefly Brigade. Their leader is like a chick who looks like a fat kindergarten teacher, and I'm like, and I'm like, th talk about, you know, men, or will, rise to the occasion, right? So if the occasion calls for bloodthirstiness, the willingness to just kill and maim and do all that, those people are gonna fucking rise up,
Yeah.
like, um if you're the type of person who hesitates, and, stops on the side of the road to get a straggler into your car, you're probably fucked,
Yeah.
and it's like, in that world, you got these, like, big, burly dudes taking orders from, from these women, and it was and that's where it kind of, like, so far the cracks of the show have started to kind of I'm
From
starting to
what I
see that.
understand, there's gonna be a lot more to come. I won't spoil anything, but I covered news and shit, so I'd know some of the rustlings, but you go ahead.
Yeah, yeah, so I think my problem is I started watching the show after seeing a few of the memes come out,
Yeah.
and there was, like, one scene in particular with the little, potato face girl, uh, putting a guy who's easily, like 220 pounds in a fucking triangle choke, which anybody out there who knows even a little bit about jujitsu, I mean, it's hard enough to do it on somebody who, on a tinier, person,
Yeah.
let alone on a guy who's just fucking massive. So I'm like, "Okay, wherever they're going, I guess I'm going to find out," because the first, like, few episodes I thought were really strong. They were so,
Sure.
that, they were there, but yeah, I think it's one of those, I don't know, it's sort of like, I in the arts, they're kind of are they trying to paint a future that they're hopeful for, even if it's a complete dystopia? It's like, "Yeah, yeah, it's a dystopia, but on the bright side,
Women are
ladies,
the leaders, so
they're
this is
finally there."
this is the path you want because it's not all bad, women have authority now. Somehow that works. Yeah, I can't speak to too much to that particular show or anything, or, like, their agenda. I would imagine their agenda is primarily, there was a popular video game, and we wanna try it and make a whole bunch more money off of it, and also while we're at it, we wanna shove in some, you know, dumb agendas and messaging and shit, and, that still isn't gonna fly, and I imagine it'll last another season, and all the outrage will bring it to a halt, and, yeah, I mean, it's just a tale as old as the last 20 years or so. Hollywood's trying to remake a IP that was successful and put their own spin on it, and everybody hates their own spin, and that's where it'll go.
Yeah, I saw a clip, recently, I think it was, Vince Vaughn, who, as far as I know, is a libertarian. Vince, if you're out there, let me and Dan know. We can make something together for sure. Um,
He's definitely dabbled in the libertarian side.
yeah, a big Ron Paul guy.
Mhm,
And he was talking about, I guess the question of, why hasn't there been any, comedies, in a while?
mhm,
Uh, and he brought up IP. This idea of, you have a pitch and it's like, okay, well, what is the IP you're working off of? And, uh, I forget the example that he gave. I think it was like Battleship or something.
mhm.
Like that's the IP. It's a game.
Right.
And he was
Running
saying,
out of
well,
things.
yeah, he's like, where, it used to be like 16 candles. What's the IP? Well, it's not really IP. It's,
Right,
a girl's turning 16 and she's an awkward high schooler
right.
and just, write a story that's
Well, even
fun.
like the Todd there's been a few circumstances of this type of thing, like, the Todd Phillips Joker movie, like the first one. Clearly, that I don't think that was intended to be a Joker film from the beginning. I think it was supposed to be a throwback to, Taxi, whatever,
Yeah.
those types of movies, and it would've been a great movie if it wasn't a Joker movie. There's almost nothing that has anything to do with the Batman universe in that movie,
Yeah.
but they're like, "Well, we can't sell this because people don't buy original ideas anymore, so let's slap a Joker face on it and, call it a day." And, there was another one. I think the Minecraft movie I heard was similar to that, where it seemed like, the dudes who made, Napoleon Dynamite lost my camera. Dudes who made Napoleon Dynamite wanted to make another movie, and they're like, "Well, we can slap Minecraft on it." Not even necessarily in a bad way. It's like these are artists who wanna make their art, and, Hollywood doesn't give a shit about their art, so let's play it by their rules and so that we can get this thing made even if it has to. And what's a little bit self-defeating about that whole premise is that in making it these IPs, yes, it does get a lot more buzz right out the gate, but it also gets a lot more pushback and a lot more criticism, makes it much more under a microscope if it's like the 25th Batman movie and we're rebooting it again and now everybody's got their eye on it because like what are they going to do with this? And it worked out in the Joker's case and Minecraft's case and stuff like that. But a lot of these movies just seem to fizzle out because everybody's expecting it to live up to their nostalgia that you're trying to play off of. It's a risky game that they're playing and they keep playing it. 99% of the time, they fall flat on their face, i.e., Snow White and everything Disney touches. But other times they pull it off. I just think, yeah, it's a crutch, and it's also a risky move, but, apparently it works in their favor to some degree because they keep doing it.
Yeah. With Minecraft, so I went and I saw it with my kids, and I never played the video game. They're too young to play video games and all that.
Mhm.
And it is it's a flaming piece of shit movie.
Sure.
But all the kids there went nuts for it. Like it was there was almost like a Rocky Horror Picture Show
Mhm.
element to it in that, stuff would be happening on screen and the kids were yelling like the same lines
Is
back.
it Chicken Jockey?
Yeah, yeah, they were doing that and,
I'm
uh
pretty sure that's an MK Ultra, trigger phrase or something. I don't know what's going on there, but I like it.
So there was so I think, like, as an experience, like, even as, like, a dad, like, "Oh, that's cool," like, kids are going out and doing something that's obviously just for them,
Right, and they're
but the
rallying around something that's not like, it's not necessarily wholesome, but it's just
right.
fun and stupid, and they're not, like,
Your parents don't
talking
get
about
it.
racism shit.
Yeah, your parents don't get it, we're not going to get it, and you're gonna enjoy it,
Yeah.
but then there's also a part of me that, there are, kids movies that I watch with my kids that are great. I mean, the amount of times that I've watched Toy Story or, Luca, these are, like, really just excellent, excellent films
Mhm.
that, mom and dad can also, get something out of, um yeah, I think I was one of the few people to actually defend Snow White.
Oh, wow,
Oh,
okay.
yeah, yeah. So, Dan, before you log off, all right, that's who you're
Bold
looking at right
bold
there.
stance, let's
Yeah,
go.
man. Um,
In
no,
fairness, I haven't seen it. I've just covered it, like,
yeah.
every week for the last, like, 6 months or so, but go ahead.
So, I think the big thing was I saw it with my kids, and my kids really enjoyed it, and
Sure.
there were elements in there that I thought were really good. I think, I
How old are
said
your
that,
kids?
5 and 3. Uh
Oh,
Yeah.
Too young to have opinions that matter.
Oh, yeah, yeah. Uh, but,
Of course you're gonna like it. It's flashy and colorful.
but what's funny is so they enjoyed it, but every time I asked them if they wanted to go see it again, they didn't wanna see it again, so I think it was they were kinda like one and done, but I thought there were some things that were good. I absolutely couldn't believe the amount of money that was spent on it, like,
Mhm.
when I found out how much, like, that makes it, like, completely insane.
Yeah.
And also I think, it's one of those, I think it's just one of those, situations too where it's like, you know, your actors need to shut up
Yeah.
and just like and
Do the
push.
job.
Yeah,
Nobody cares about your politics.
just shut the fuck up and just talk about, if someone asks you about it, don't say how much, don't talk about how problematic the original one was.
Right.
Talk
The
about
IP that we're banking this whole thing off of, don't
yeah.
criticize that too hard because that's all you have to work with here.
Yeah, just say, "Oh my god, growing up, absolutely loved Snow White. I could never believe, I could never imagine that I would one day be Snow White, and I think we're doing a great job, and the kids are gonna
Yeah.
love it." Like, just do
It
that.
should be the easiest job in the
Easy.
world. Like,
Yeah,
you're reading a s or you're acting a script or whatever, you're playing a part. You can play that part in real life too and pretend like you don't hate your fucking job or you're getting paid exorbitant amounts to go out and shit on it
yeah,
in the public eye. Yeah,
yeah,
it's been a clusterfuck the entire time. I don't know if the movie's, I mean, if your five-year-old doesn't even wanna see it a second time, I stand by my assumptive review, but, who knows?
yeah, yeah, and I mean, it's like, we end up watching all of the remakes, like, we watched the remake of a Little Mermaid, the live action one, and even that, there was another one there was, like, another one where, like, the lead actress, she's she has a beautiful voice, singing voice, but she has no, she can't act with her face. Like, there's no, and this is just
Sure.
like her being like, she's not that good of an actress. She's not able to act with her face. Um,
And I
they
mean, these are all, like, completely blue, green screen, like,
yeah,
Disney shit is all fake at this point anyway, so I imagine that makes it tougher for especially the younger actors. And, again, you also in using this is not just IP, this is extremely beloved IP from,
love
like,
it.
50 years ago,
Yeah,
and you can bank on that and use it as a crutch, but you are often, as we see, going to know even if it is good, you're gonna get the backlash of, "It's not as good as the original, and it's never going to be as good as the original," because all the nostalgia that you can shove into something is not going to recreate the nostalgia of just watching the original.
yeah, and the biggest mistake that they made with the live action Little Mermaid is that they made all of the animals look like real
Yeah,
animals. Which is like, "No, dude, what a fucking terrible mistake." It's like, you're not looking at Flounder, this cute, fat fish,
right,
you're looking at a flounder who's and it's like you can't emote
right.
with these animal you can't emote with a freaking crab that looks exactly like a crab, or a
Yep.
lobster, whatever the hell, Sebastian was. So, I guess what I'm saying, I think it's time, for Dan and I to get together and see we gotta see what's in the public domain,
Mhm,
what haven't people, what is beloved in the public domain, and what can we ruin, but
mhm.
in our own way, in our own
I like it.
special way. Yeah.
So, are you familiar with Top Lobster, that
Oh,
degenerate?
yeah. Yeah,
Okay.
yeah.
I, have had an idea for a long time. I've mentioned it to him before, and, I stand by it. I wanna remake Aladdin starring Top Lobster, like, as Aladdin in the city in modern day, and he's just, like, pissed off at everybody because the world's gone shit. I don't know the premise yet, but I wanna see Top Lobster play Aladdin, and I think we should start a petition. I don't know where it goes, but I think we can outshine Disney on this one.
Well, you probably I mean, I'm imagining, like, even, like, as far as, like, copyright goes, I mean, it's Arabian Nights, right? It's just taking, that what I mean, how old is the Arabian Nights? I mean, hundreds and hundreds of years old and taking
Yeah,
that and doing something with it, right?
that's true. That's true. We can go
Alright.
the Daily Wire route, you know? Start our own Hollywood and go bankrupt.
Yeah, what's going on? I don't know. I don't have any inside information over there.
I only know rumors, but they do seem to be shooting for the stars a lot, and it's a lot of hit or miss. And they had planned on doing a Snow White themselves because there was the whole backlash controversy with Snow White, and they were supposed to be doing one starring that one chick that they just let go about 6 months ago. I don't remember her name, but the younger gal.
Yeah.
And so yeah, I don't know. I think that's kind of dead in the water.
Well, I think that and I don't know, how because I think I saw like a short trailer, for that. I don't know how much how serious that was as opposed to just being like kind of a easy response to what was going on. But I think one of the problems too is, I think people think sorry, what's
It's all good.
yeah, you could hear the little zombies trying to break into,
Back there like, "Turn
uh
off Snow White, this is fucking dog shit."
Dad, quit making me watch Snow White. I think there is something there there's, this idea that gets into people's heads where if this person is really popular, like on a podcast, or they're a very popular influencer, then we could pluck them out of that and put them into a feature film,
Mhm.
and it's going to be able to work. And I just
Yeah.
think the reality is it's like people have different skill sets that, work well with different media.
Mhm.
So, even the idea of like casting off of that, seems like, ooh, that sounds like a bad idea, just
Yeah.
on its face.
Yeah, I mean, we've seen that also with, like, taking Jordan Peterson, for example. When he joined the Daily Wire, I mean, we all loved Jordan Peterson at one point, I would imagine, and, I didn't read the book. I'm sorry, my room is a mess right now. I have a wife for that. But, um yeah, Jordan Peterson joining the Daily Wire, my biggest concern at the time was I don't want Jordan Peterson to be a political pundit or commentator. I want Jordan Peterson to be a psychologist who speaks to young men and does something that is lacking in our society today. And instead, Jordan Peterson joined and then drugged out. And then I don't know if he drugged out and then joined. I feel like he drugged out first and then got bought up at a discount rate because he was drugged out and then became this political pundit who is just has all the worst takes as of late. And, yeah, people that, have a niche should focus on that niche and, um, I don't know, I mean, it's tough when Ben Shapiro's waving a bunch of money in your face and your career is on a decline to not take that, but I
Well,
don't know.
yeah, or even just like this, and this idea that everyone needs to have an opinion about everything,
Yeah,
and I think that you know that works on so many different levels. There's in comedy, in particular, like you have for a while it was like, comedians were expected to be political, if not outright on stage, then they had to be political and, showing solidarity in their social media and
mhm,
stuff. Where it's like, there's some comedians like, there's some comedians who are like one-liner comedians and they
yeah,
just do one-liners. Don't look to them and expect them or, try to coerce them into having a stance on like BLM or
right.
Ukraine
I
or,
write knock knock jokes for a living.
or
Why do you
Israel
care what I
Palestine.
think
Yeah.
on politics? Yeah,
Yeah, yeah, exactly, and I sometimes I find myself, where it's like, "Oh, do I even wanna step into this? Because I don't really know what what's going on. Can I come up with something I think is clever and funny from it? If so, okay, I'll put that out there and then
yeah.
see what happens." But, well,
I mean, you
Dan
make
oh,
stuff though
sorry.
that is, like, not all political, and you make stuff that is funny, and then you trickle in some politics into that. You park the art course before the message art cart be after the whatever, the fucking metaphor that I came up with. I don't remember. But,
Art
yeah,
cart.
no, you actually, I knew your name before I knew that you were even involved in the libertarian stuff just from seeing some of your clips online. Then I saw you show up at PorcFest one year, and I was like, "Oh, didn't even know that you were a part of this dumb thing that we're doing over here." But yeah, we need more people who are artists first, who just happen to be libertarians underneath, who are gonna even if there's not something going on in the news, they're gonna spend their time making something funny that lifts up the culture and I don't know, just I mean, just humor in and of itself, like Kill Tony's the biggest thing in the world right now, and it's because it's fucking funny. It has no holds barred, and it's just doing the joke first. A lot of times it gets political, and even Tony showed up at the Trump rally and got a bunch of shit for making a joke, but he was invited to the Trump rally because he does this funny thing that he happens to be a Trump supporter, so he got invited and was able to you know, bring a little levity to that circumstance too. Like you just never know where it's gonna go, but he's definitely not a political pundit first. He's a a jokes guy. And sometimes the jokes land in the sphere of politics that he is also interested in.
Right on. Well, Dan, thank you so much for your compliment, and I'm going to extend the same to you. I'm happy to know that you're out there doing what you do, and if you're lucky enough to be getting married, check in with Dan as well because he
Amen.
does that on the side, and as you heard, he takes it very seriously. He knows the importance of it, and there's a lot more to life than preparing for collapse
Yeah.
and preparing for
Or
debate.
arguing about bylaws at libertarian conventions for that matter.
There's a lot more, to that. So, Dan Smotz, thank you so much for joining me, and, I've been, Lou Perez on Lions of Liberty, and, like, subscribe, share, do all that stuff.
Awesome.
Thank you.
Thanks, man. Thanks for having me.